Welcome to Love Where You Live, a space dedicated to exploring what it truly means to build a life you love, starting with the spaces we inhabit. I'm your host, Alyssa Salato. As a real estate agent and former dietitian and wellness coach, I look at home as so much more than just a physical address. It's the foundation for our daily lives, where our physical environments, our communities, and our overall well-being converge. Whether you're navigating a major life transition, creating a physical sanctuary within your four walls, or looking for ways to bring more alignment into your day-to-day, you are in the right place. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, and welcome to the third episode of Love Where You Live. I'm your host, Alyssa Salato. In today's episode, I'm talking with Paula Lee, who is a registered nurse and spiritual practitioner who blends over 20 years of clinical experience with advanced metaphysical training. Paula has navigated her own journey through burnout and trauma, and now guides others in releasing limiting patterns and reconnecting with their life purpose. She is a second step ritual master in the lineage of King Solomon, a certified professional life activation practitioner, Reiki master in the Usui lineage, an intermediate practitioner of Insophic Ray Reiki, and a certified crystal healer. Now, to ease any nerves going into this recording, Paula and I agreed to bring our thoughts from a previous conversation that we had together to the table and use them as our art supplies, if you will, to freestyle a piece of art together. And that is this conversation. This episode begins as if you were walking in on a conversation between friends about passion, determination, healing, and purpose. So aside from standard editing, you're stepping into a pretty raw, unfiltered chat. I hope for you it feels honest, intimate, and relatable, and that it offers you inspiration, an interesting perspective, or even a little hope. With that, I'm grateful you're here, and I hope you enjoy this episode with the beautiful Paula Lee.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah. Yes. I think that's right now, a big lesson for me. Just doing the thing, taking action.
Is that going to be tied specifically to your reading fairy tales, or is it other things as well?
I think all of it. You know, I think that I tended to be someone that was, I'm going to call it a recovering perfectionist, because I don't want to claim perfectionism in my life anymore. And I think in a perfectionist mindset, you tend to do all these little minor tweaks to get it just right and then never quite complete something. And so, like I was saying before, it's like just finish something, even if it's not perfect. Just having something completed, because you're learning along the way. And that's the goal, to learn. And if you keep doing something and keep taking action, and then you'll get better at it. So
there's a really interesting study that I have stumbled upon. I read about it. Maybe I've come across it a couple of times, and maybe you've heard it before. Maybe I've shared it with you before. But I read about it in Malcolm Gladwell's book, Outliers.
Okay.
And he talks about how it's the comparison between quality work over quantity work. And so it's like they've got one group concentrating on quality, like just make sure you're creating the absolute best piece that you can right here, like just perfect this one thing. And then you've got another group that is told to just create as much as you possibly can. And it's the group that creates more stuff actually creates higher quality because they are practicing more and more and more.
Interesting. That makes a lot of sense. Because if you're just focused on one thing, how do you get better at it? Yeah. Yeah. I'm the kind of person who kind of like, I dabble in a lot of stuff. And I used to think of that as something negative. Like, why can't I just stick to one thing? But it's given me an opportunity to really just kind of like try something, see if I like it, if it's worth me pursuing, if it lights me up, try different things. Because I think that's what we're meant to do, just kind of explore. At least that's how I am. Just, exploring different things to see, am I interested in art or different aspects of spirituality? And yeah.
What pushed you to feel like you can't try multiple things and like you had to try to like just be good at one?
I think I had a lot of unfinished projects.
So
like,
so that was your message. Like you just do one.
Right. But I do like that idea. And yes, I think going back to the fairy tale channel, I've kind of hesitated to do more because I was getting really stuck on uh updating the language, because that some of the words that they were using from the 1800s didn't really seem relevant, or I wondered if people would understand what was being said. So I was trying to edit it to make it more modern. And then I realized that when I did that, it really started to lose context.
Right.
You started to lose the depth of what the story was telling you. And I think there's something really important about preserving language and a way to convey that message that's coming across with the story. So now I'm going back to the original story and moving on to like photos and like visuals that I'll add, because I want to have mid-century modern illustrations from the books, and there's a lot of really beautiful illustrators that really depicts the story in such a beautiful way. So I'm just trying to gather that, but really trying to avoid waiting for it to be good, so good. At least what I think is good, and just be okay with, this is good enough.
Right.
Like, just put it out there.
I feel really drawn to the whole point that you're talking about, like the words from the 1800s. It's language that obviously we're not speaking at all.
Right.
You're like, that makes me think of like a lot of the words that the young generations are using now too. Like the only thing coming to mind at this moment is girly pop. That's what I'm hearing my daughter and her friends say often. But it just makes me think in the 1800s, people were calling each other girly pop. So language will evolve over time, of course. But if you are changing the words, then you are really taking, like, there's, I don't know, maybe like a matter of melody that is part of the whole original story. And if you're changing the melody, then it's no longer the same song.
And these are the stories that people have grown up on and really spoke to their soul, So I think if I change that, then will we have that same benefit? Will we receive it in the same way? So really, I think it might be more valuable to then, if you don't know the word, look it up in the dictionary,
right?
Expand your awareness, your vocabulary.
Feel free to be curious and explore further.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I've decided to do. And I think I just need to, I actually put on my calendar for later today to schedule a block of time to just record the fairy tales.
Ooh, I'm excited for that, because I think I did actually check back on your YouTube channel to see if there were extra recordings.
Thank you.
Because I was like, I am really interested. Not necessarily that like fairy tales have spoken to me, but more in a way like, I had never even had the interest in hearing fairy tales. And so it was more of like this thing is really speaking to Paula. So let me see what I can discover here.
Right. So part of my intention is I'd like to share these stories that have kind of been buried with the world. I think it's a sweet opportunity for maybe like as adults to nurture our inner child, but also in a world where, kids are so consumed with their electronic devices and they're pretty much, I think I read somewhere that um, the like technology is pretty much they're growing up with it as their brother and sister. And so now these stories can be for the parent and the child, so for both of you. I was telling my friend about it and she said it could be something like when you're too tired to read to your child, like let me read to both of you. Yeah.
I really love that.
Yeah. And then as I started looking further into fairy tales, so there's a woman called Marie Louise von Franz, and she was one of the closest students to Carl Jung. And so she has all of this research on fairy tales and all the different archetypes in the fairy tale. So you've got the witch that lives in the woods in a cottage that is now trying to devour children. And
That's where does this all come from?
yeah, it's scary. Right? That it's like, well, what about that story? Like, think of the children. What do they represent? Even when they're wandering into the woods, she starts explaining the different parts of stories where you see a transition from real life into this like magical realm. And so it happens in so many different ways. Somebody falling down a well. Alice ate mushrooms and, she went through the looking glass. And there's so many different ways that someone can enter into this magical realm. And then what is this magical realm? That magical realm is this like unconscious state where the soul exists. And it really is a key for us to understand the deeper parts of ourselves and how do we access that to live to uncover those parts of ourselves and to live life more consciously.
Because fairy tales have not always seemed very child appropriate in some ways, right? Like they can be violent, very scary, and it's like, oh, we're reading this to our kids.
Right. Especially those Brothers Grimm stories.
Like when it's making me think of like how Disney creates all of the stories. Maybe what's one that is kind of, would it be like Snow White or something?
Snow White. Cinderella. You always have like this evil stepmother.
Yeah. So Disney has absolutely softened it. And then you go to what the original story of it is, and you're like, oh, it's a lot darker than what Disney made it out to be.
Yeah, definitely. And they are, most of them are all inspired by these older fairy tales and have been rewritten, but there's a lot of psychological depth to the stories. And so I don't know, maybe in later videos we'll talk about like what does it mean if you're embodying the archetype of this wicked witch, who's trying to destroy the innocence of like Snow White or Cinderella. What does that mean for us? Like if we are being that wicked witch to ourselves, what does she need to feel loved and whole? So we're not fighting that innocence.
I find it interesting that there is a lot of wisdom from like many years ago, despite the fact that we have evolved so substantially. I guess you could say technologically, psychologically, but I mean there is such a difference between time, but still, I don't know, just I find that interesting. I'm not sure that I'm articulating it well enough.
Yeah. So there's a couple stories that come to mind. One of them being like the ugly duckling. And the ugly duckling grew up and was abused and bullied by the other fellow ducklings. And pretty much like he felt so, or maybe it's a she. I don't know if it had a gender in the story, but was just bullied so terribly that they went off into like wandered away and decided to be alone until they, discovered a swan. And they were like, oh my gosh, what a beautiful bird. And then as they grew and evolved, discovered that they themselves, they were a swan, and it
The
was
ugly duckling.
ugly duckling. Yeah. So it was just kind of like, those parts of ourselves that we find so ugly, maybe at some point as we grow and evolve, they can turn into something beautiful.
Yeah.
So another one, so the one story I'm going to read next is The Wild Swans. And it's a story where there's a young princess and there's an evil stepmother involved. And she pretty much puts a curse on the 11 brothers and turns the 11 brothers into swans. And so the young princess, she runs away and is just in despair at how to help her brothers.
And this is humans going from swans. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so then she, in a dream, she receives a message from a fairy, it's like the fairy godmother coming in, and she is tasked with weaving shirts out of nettles for her brothers. And so nettles are very like spikes. They're very like so she's weaving these shirts and her fingers are blistering and everything. And she marries a king. She there's a part where she's not allowed to speak until all of this task has been completed. And so it's really a story of love and perseverance and determination, silence. I mean, there's so many different themes of overcoming evil with good and with love.
I'm even picking up on the trust too, because you said that there was a period where she had to be just completely silent. She couldn't speak.
Yeah.
Was it something that she was just not able to do? Was she not capable of speaking, or was she just like following direction?
The instructions were she had to complete all of the shirts in silence, because if she spoke one word, then her brothers would be harmed. Yeah. So so it's a beautiful story, and so that's what I'll be recording.
I'm excited
today.
Today. Awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, I think fairy tales have a lot of depth to
clearly.
Yeah.
And I had never even really given them too much thought. I mean, other than like, oh my gosh, those are like those are intense stories. Yeah. Up until, when you're like, I want to read fairy tales. And it's like just that feeling inside, like this is the thing that I want to do, and so I'm going to just do it.
Just do it. Yeah.
And so that, I think it's that, like that conviction that really has me captivated, because I'm like, oh, this really means something. I've got to listen in.
And there's some silly ones too. I think there was one about like a flapjack or something. There was a little pancake that was like, he ran away from home and everybody was chasing after him, and he's running through the woods and he finds a turtle and he's like, you can't catch me. And they're like, they run and try to catch him, and he can't catch him.
A pancake?
Yeah, a pancake. And then there's all different other animals. And finally he comes to a fox, and the fox is like, oh yeah, I can't get you. And he's like, and he was really sneaky.
Yes.
And got the pancake to slow down. So then he finally just ate the pancake, because the pancake couldn't he outsmarted everybody else, but not.
And there are so many other versions of this story, right? Isn't there also the story? It's a gingerbread man as well, right?
Okay.
And then I have, I don't know, my family that we were attracted to offbeat things, the weird things, and so, I'm blanking on what the actual book is, but it's like a collection of fairy tales, but they're just different.
Okay.
They're not the typical. So the other version than what you're describing is the Stinky Cheese Man. So that I loved because it was, nobody wanted the Stinky Cheese Man anyway, right?
You have to share that book with me.
Yes. I do believe we have it at home, so I'll definitely have to dig it up and send you a picture.
We'll have a reading of the Stinky Cheese Man. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, it's just something that's intrigued me. So just hitting record and going. One thing that I think was really sweet, one time I'm reading I'm reading a story to my husband, like we're in bed and I have this fairy tale book and he's like, I'm really liking our, story time. And it's just like, there's a little child inside each and every one of us that still wants story time. I spent so much time in the library as a child and we both did. And so reading books is just a really sweet thing that we share. So
the connecting to the inner child is I'm hearing it come from you, but I feel like I've also seen somebody else talking about that as well. And so I see that there are other people talking about it. And so of course it is an important subject for a lot of people. And I find it fascinating that this was the avenue that you've gone down, and it is really nurturing in our childhood.
Yeah. I truly think that a lot of our wounds that we have that we carry around that creates this chaos that you see in the world is because of or a factor in that is like the wounding that we've experienced as children and just trying to figure out where we belong, what our place is, to reconcile those hurts that we experience as children. So I think adults sometimes they look at as grown up 6-year-olds.
Say that for me again.
We're all like grown up 6-year-olds. Yes. Like if I see somebody acting out and being angry or hurt or just being emotionally reactive, I think it's taken me a while to figure that part out. But it's like, what do they need?
Yeah,
it's like safe for love.
You said that we're wounded, right? And there's no shame in that, honestly. And I think that we, as we enter adulthood, we do feel some shame around that, even if we aren't like totally aware of that. There is that. I think there is that shame attached to it because now you're adults and you should behave like an adult, right? Yeah. So there's that wounded part of you from childhood that just kind of is left behind, so to speak.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, like I grew up in a pretty, I want to say it was an emotionally void household. And so I, as I went through like puberty and going through teenage years and even into my, 20s, like I found myself, I had intense emotions as a child. And then going through like those hormonal changes in puberty, it was like I was acting out. I had so much impulsiveness. I got involved in drugs and stuff like that. And it was just like, I didn't really know how to manage my emotions.
Right.
And it's taken a long time for me to figure that part out because truly, I think that we're never quite done healing. I think we are this ever evolving being that we're continually in a phase, continually, how do I want to say it, just we're continually growing and evolving.
Right. Well, life is happening around us anyway. So, I mean, even if you compare it metaphorically, like I could stand up here and trip on this wire and smash my face on the floor. So, of course, now I'm wounded and I need to heal from that. Perhaps there's a part of us that feels like we shouldn't be wounded. And maybe that's a childhood wound in of itself. And maybe that's just my personal experience. Maybe that's me thinking that, oh, we're supposed to have this figured out. So I guess that's one of the biggest challenges with adulthood is that you have to spot those wounds. You have to know how to heal them. But it's not to say that you're not going to get wounded again.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I think that if you are lucky to have parents that are emotionally regulated themselves and then can teach you that, you'll go into adulthood being intact. But I think we all can't have some struggles, you know. I think I used to think that, I look at people and think, oh, they have a perfect life. They have two parents. They have, everything looks good on the outside. And I think I've just come to realize that we all have our stuff, like nobody is exempt from having some kind of a traumatic experience in their life, no matter how small it might seem or how big it might seem. So we all have something to work on.
That was something that I think I had learned also a few years ago. Like, we're all just figuring this out. And there really isn't somebody who is just like, oh, I've got it. It's everything's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it can feel that way, of course, if you're trying to, manage your own challenges. And you look at somebody else who, maybe has the life that you're dreaming of, and you're like, oh, well, they just got it. And what's wrong with me? How come I don't have it?
Yeah. So I recently was at a train. Well, it's a train. So every year, as a life activation practitioner, I go to recertification in Toronto at the Modern Mystery School. And so there's different classes and stuff you can attend. And one of them was called The Main Thing. What is your compass in life? What helps you determine what is important, what to focus on, and what else are distractions? And so one of the topics, which I found really interesting, was about time and about how if we want to create a good future, then you have to have like I don't want to call it a happy ending, but it kind of is a happy ending. When we think about our past, it's important that it has a happy ending, that it ends well.
Yeah.
So rather than think of this awful thing happened to me in my childhood and focus on all the bad things that happened, one might say, I had this awful thing happen to me and I learned a lot of hard lessons and it made me a stronger person and it made me really determined to work hard and focus on my goals. Look at what I've achieved now as a result of it. And now I get to live a really good life as a result of that. Or I get to be a better parent to my children now because I want to make sure I show them love, unconditional love and support in ways that maybe I didn't receive. So rather than focusing on the negative, you have to have this positive aspect to that to then carry you through onto a positive future.
You are creating your fairy tale.
Yes. Yeah.
Creating a happy ending. Because, again,
yeah.
I mean, my heart is just feeling so excited as you're saying that because, yes, of course, we all go through these challenges in our early life. And I'm just thinking fairy tale at this point. Like you go through the scary experience and then you find the golden goose and but you have to be willing to do that. You have to You have to go on the adventure.
Mhm. Yeah, totally. And sometimes that, like, while some struggles are harder than others, sometimes you need that in order to grow you as a person. Um, I think back to some of the hardest parts of my life, and I'm like, wow, I had so much focus and determination and the will to just do what had to be done. So at one point, how old was I? I was 22, and at that point, my son was in preschool, my daughter was 2, and I was living in a woman's shelter at the time. I had gotten out of an abusive relationship, and I finally got the opportunity to have my own housing. And so I went through all the, county government assistance to get my own housing, get some support so that I could go back to school. And on one point, I didn't have a car. And so I had my 2-year-old and my 4-year-old, and I popped them in the double stroller to go walk the mile and a half or whatever to go to the grocery store. And I had my, whatever I could fit in the back of that stroller, that's all the groceries I could buy. And so it was usually like 2 bags. So I could slide them in the double stroller underneath and then walk back home. And I think now now I have a pretty comfortable life because I worked really hard, and, luckily I have a really great supportive husband, and we support each other. And I think back then to how, there were so many challenges I had to overcome, and how laser focused I was determined to do what I needed to do because I had these small children that depended on me. So it was like, okay, got to walk the mile or two to get to the grocery store.
You have to do that.
Yeah. So there was just some things that, through that struggle I had to do. And even my daughter will ask me today, like, how did you do it? And I'm like, I don't know. They depended on me. But I also tell them that's how I know God's real, because I don't know how I did it. There were so many things that challenged me that I couldn't have done it on my own. So, yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's incredible. I mean, just the determination. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you are in a state of survival mode, right? Distress. And you obviously are not comfortable in that place. And so perhaps in that place, maybe you can remember thinking about something else that you would like to move towards.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you had 2 kids to take care of, and obviously, like, there's something going on inside, thinking like, I want something else for my kids.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. 100%. I mean, at that time I was in nursing school, and I remember studying at the kitchen table after I put them to bed and literally falling asleep face down in my textbooks. And I mean, I had wonderful fellow students that they would record the lessons and the lectures. And so they would share the CD. They'd share the CD, and I would listen to it in the car, or I would listen to it because there were times where I was physically there, but there were so many things on my mind that I was having not able to pay attention, or maybe I was, at that time I was going to court a lot for to fight for custody. It was a complicated scenario with their biological father, because I was concerned for their safety, and just having to make sure that certain things were in place in the legal system, with like visitation and stuff like that with their father. So anyway, I didn't have to worry about missing a lecture because my fellow
You had
students,
support.
yeah, they were there for me.
Were they aware that you were going through all of that?
Well, I don't think so. I kept a lot of things to myself in private because I was ashamed.
Yeah.
I was ashamed of what I was going through. And I don't know if anybody really knew. I don't think I told anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever wonder, thinking back on it, if anybody could have even had an idea? I don't know. Maybe something like these might be things that pop up in my brain sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I can relate to a lot of stuff, and in some cases, I'm just like, how did I even manage to have friends? Like,
Yeah.
I hope it's a
Right.
complete mess.
Right. I don't know. And I think that, when there's that saying, like, don't judge a book by its cover, or like, you never know what somebody's going through in life, to be compassionate, because you truly don't know. You don't know what somebody's gone through.
Isn't that amazing? It's
Yeah.
just shocking in some ways that, some of us can really show up in the world and function outwardly. And yet there's a lot of pain that maybe we're also going through.
Yeah. So as we're talking, it's just reminding me of like what exists within us, right? We have this powerful source that is, 'cause we're human beings, but we also are spiritual beings. And there's something within each one of us that is innately good. And so I think that that part of us is also trying to expand, and I think it's that part of us that drives this momentum forward to like do better, to do good, to seek out the good in others, to have hope. And so I think that's truly what propelled me forward. Also, I think that each one of us, like being able to recognize that in other people, like I saw that in my children, and they made me want to be a good person, to try really hard to do better for them. And I think that if we can do that with each other, to see the good in others.
And naturally, I mean, that can be so challenging sometimes. I mean, because we have our own beliefs regarding what makes a person good or bad, and then we respond accordingly.
Yeah. And I think we're all good.
Yes.
I think humans are good. I think I've heard people say humans are bad.
Humans have behaved badly. We all have that goodness in us, and so I'm picturing the angel and the devil on the shoulders. Like the devil is always so alluring, and the angel is always like, oh my, and it's always like just this quiet little voice. And it's like, as I explore growth for my own self, I find that voice has been very quiet. And so if you're not tuned into it or not practicing listening to it, then of course it can seem like, like we're talking about how life happens and you can continue to get wounded, and let's attribute that to making the bad choices that we're feeling allured to do, and not tuning into the good voice and the goodness that is within us, because it can be very quiet. Makes me think too of visiting a friend a few years ago. The dog had gone missing. And we're all in a panic to find a dog. We're racing outside and looking all around the neighborhood, but something in me said, like, check a closet. And I didn't say anything about checking the closet. And where do you think that dog was?
It's in the closet.
It was in the closet.
Ooh,
Yes. And my friend was like, why isn't that voice ever louder? So it's interesting that's to me, at least from my perspective, how it is. It's sometimes very, very quiet, and you have to pay attention.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Your intuition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm glad that you mentioned that because, as you know, I teach meditation and offer
Yes.
meditation classes. And so that's something that I truly believe is that we can't hear our own inner wisdom. We can't hear the wisdom of the spirit or God within us if we're too busy and
Mm-hmm.
too loud or distracted. And so that's where meditation, it's really helpful to really get quiet and learn to tune in to that still,
Yeah. Yeah.
quiet voice within because it's usually right. Yeah,
Yes,
it's usually
it
right.
usually is.
Yeah.
I mean, also what's coming up for me is as you're sharing all of this, a metaphor that's been sticking in my brain a lot over the past couple of months. I'll just provide the backstory to it. So I have my two daughters. I have one who's 10 and one who's 2, and we were switching their rooms around.
Okay.
And in order to do that, I had to help straighten up my 10-year-old's room. And, I specify their ages because a 10-year-old has accumulated a lot more stuff versus a 2-year-old.
Okay.
And so it was a lot of decluttering. And quite honestly, we're not done yet, even after switching the rooms. And so in this process of decluttering, like I see it as very comparable to life anyways. Like here is this big mess and it feels very overwhelming. Um, I have an idea, a little bit of like what I want it to look like. I don't even want to touch this mess right now because I know it's going to take so much of my time to clean up. But it's interesting that as you begin to like start throwing this away, you're putting this in this pile and putting this in that place, like all of a sudden the mess begins to clear up and you can see the floor again and you can walk and you can breathe. And
Yeah.
that's just how how that voice to me, like you're saying, you teach meditation and you believe that that voice is real and we can begin to hear it as we get quiet. And that to me is the cleaning the clutter. You let it all, you let things settle, you listen. What's the first thing that I need to address? What's the next thing that I need to address? And it will just slowly but surely begin to then we can breathe.
Yes. I love that metaphor for the messy room. Yeah. And it's even in talking about decluttering, oftentimes I find myself with things that maybe somebody gave me that it wasn't even mine, but they gave it to you. And so then you're now like, oh, you're attaching you have some emotional attachment to this thing and then feel bad about getting rid of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that can create a lot of stress because, it's like this was a memory or this was valuable to somebody else. But that also reminds me of the process I went through of letting go over the summer. I think so. Two things were happening last year. I started Kabbalah and then I went through a process of studying and going through the process of becoming a ritual master in the lineage that I belong to.
Okay.
And so that's what I discovered. There was a lot of stuff that I had been holding on to that didn't even belong to me. And just having to let it go, whether it was thoughts that I had about myself or memories from my past or my childhood. And I started looking at things in a whole new way. And I was like, none of that stuff is relevant anymore. I don't have to hold on to it. I can let it go because that came from my grandmother or my mom or my father, somebody, a classmate, or somebody said something to me, but I was holding it on as if it was mine.
Are you willing to share like
I
an
had to let it
example just to
go.
help with understanding that at a deeper level?
Hmm. Okay, so I can't remember how old I was. I had to be around 6 or 7. And my grandparents, they raised collies, and they had a kennel. They were show dogs. I mean, they had all kinds of AKC uh, names, and they flew them all over the country to show in like professional dog shows.
Okay.
So they had some puppies, and I remember being on the front lawn. At first, I was playing with the puppy, and puppies have these razor sharp teeth.
Okay.
And I'm playing with the puppy, and it was fun for a little while until the puppy started like nipping at me.
Mhm.
And then I started getting scared, and then I ran, and I was running, and we had this big front lawn, and I ran, and I actually ran into the street. And luckily we lived on a really quiet cul-de-sac, so there was no cars
Right,
going by. But I remember my grandmother yelled at me and said I was a bad girl.
Uh,
I was a very bad girl. And that was something that impacted me more than I had thought. And that was a memory that I had brought up and really had to like excavate, that it wasn't bad. I was scared.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there's so much there because
Yeah.
I mean, it's like kids already, we don't have this greater understanding of the world.
Mhm.
Parents, grandparents, our elders, ideally in that position, they were watching after you, right? And so running into a street
Yeah.
creates worry,
Yeah.
and just out of the stress and the fear, it's you're bad.
Yeah.
And then as a child, like, you instantly
Right.
hold on to that. And yeah, I mean,
Yeah. I thought she cared more about the dog than she cared about me.
oh,
Like
okay.
that was, and then it kind of turned into this whole like being unworthy because like the dog was worth more. So it's these stories that we tell ourselves based upon something that someone else projected onto you.
Yeah.
And, there's other things like that where it didn't it didn't mean anything anymore, because then I started to understand who I was
Yeah.
and my worthiness. So even if somebody had said something negative to me or about me, it didn't really matter because it didn't belong to me. That was their projection. This morning I was taking a walk, and I saw this little chipmunk sitting on a tree stump. And he was eating something, and walk a little further and see a red cardinal, and then a deer walk by.
This is all feeling very much like a fairy tale. I think
Yes.
because you
Yeah.
put it into my brain
Right.
already, but I'm looking
Yeah.
at your hands doing this. And I'm like,
Yes.
was the chipmunk reading a book?
He could have been. He had his back towards me for a little while, but I think he was eating something. But it's like, if we just take that time to slow down and look around
Yeah.
and notice the things that are around us, there really are good things, beautiful things that bring us joy. You see people like outside, there's a whole festival out there, people enjoying life and being together, and it's sunny out. It's a beautiful day. There is so many good things that are happening um, in life. And, I just have to look for it. Even so little, there was a mama deer and the babies, and they were nursing. It was just so cute.
Oh my gosh, that's a magical thing to witness.
Really, yeah, it really is. So, yeah, it can be easy to get sidetracked, and like you were saying, like get caught up with the angel and the demon that are on our shoulder, and one is trying to um, distract us and take our attention away from the good things in life. And it can be easy to get sucked down in that direction of negativity. But, there's a lot of good happening all around.
You just got to be willing to see it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
that does also remind me of something that we were talking last week. And I do at least want to put that out there and say that reminds me of when we had noted that you create the reality that is your life. And so, if you are willing to see the good stuff around you, then you will see good. And it's not necessarily ignoring that there is not good stuff happening. At least you know how to deal with it, right? Do you understand kind of where I'm going with that?
Yeah. So, so the lineage that I belong to, it focuses a lot on hermetics or hermeticism.
So tell me what that is.
Yeah. So let's see. I'm definitely not a hermetic philosopher, however, or scholar, but yeah, so Hermes Trismegistus, they believe, was like a contemporary of Moses.
Okay.
And so there are Hermetic principles that are universal. So it's nothing to do with religion. One of the first principles is all is mind.
Okay.
Everything that we see or experience is created through our mind. Everything starts with a thought, an idea, before it translates into action. So everything that we think first in our mind is what creates what we see, what we experience, what we feel in our outer reality. So we are experiencing like the mind of God. There's also the mind of human. And so it's important that we have clarity with stillness, maybe trying meditation so that we can get really clear on what is the mind of God to create goodness all around us rather than creating chaos. So if we fill our mind with negative things, that's what we might feel or experience. If we believe negative thoughts about ourselves, then that's what we're going to create all around us. I don't know. There's this meme that keeps coming to mind where there's these two people on a train and one person is facing like this dark cave and someone else they're on the other side, sitting on the other side of the train. And then it's like this beautiful landscape and the sun is shining. And so the person that's facing the cave, they have this really scared, frightened look on their face, while the other person, they're on the same train, but they're having two totally different experiences. The person looking at the landscape is like smiling, the sun is shining, they have a really great perspective. So it's really, we're all traveling on this experience in life. But two totally different things, two opposite things could be existing the same moment. And that's one of the other principles of polarity. You have, two seemingly opposite things that coexist, and they exist along the same plane, but maybe in different degrees. So the goal is always to try to find our way back to the center and find balance with that.
Yeah, it's simply seeing one entire thing and all of its different features. Just like, this is all of you, Paula, but you have a foot there and you have a face there. They're all you, but they are different.
Yeah. You kind of like zoom out the bigger picture, people wonder, like, why do bad things happen to good people? Why is there war and starving children in the world? And it's like, because we do have that polarity. There are good things. There are also negative things that exist at the same time. And we find our way back into the center.
This is quite a complex topic, and I'm sure like this is also a whole other hour of conversation as well. I mean, I love it.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that that we do recognize some of the things that you mentioned here. Like I heard you say Kabbalah. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
and I heard you say life activation. So I want to make sure that we are recognizing some of the healing services that you offer in your training.
Thank you so much.
So share that with us. Tell me a little bit about what Kabbalah is and life activation. If you're able to sum it up.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So a life activation is a modality that I offer. And what it helps to do is reconnect you or whomever I'm working on with their original blueprint. And so I believe that we all have a purpose in life. And sometimes there's things that get in the way from us truly understanding who we are and what we're meant to do in our life. And oftentimes, people who come to me maybe are going through some kind of a life transition, whether there's challenges in their marriage or parenting or work, or, they know there's more to life, but really not quite sure what to do and how to get there. And so the life activation helps to create balance within not just your physical body, but in your energetic structure, because we all have, we have a physical body, we have our mind, which is different than the brain. The brain is an organ. We have a mind where our thoughts and our
emotions can also blow your mind, right?
Literally. We have a spirit, we have a soul, we have this energy field that exists within us and around us. And so all of that influences how we exist in the world. And so the life activation helps to bring everything back into balance. And I like to explain it as like we're turning up the Wi-Fi signal so that we can receive directly and have a better connection with that spirit and that voice that's within us. Like you were saying, having that intuition to know without knowing, but you knew somehow that your friend's dog was hiding in the closet.
Yeah.
It's this connection with who we truly are within. Another Hermetic principle is as within, so without, as above, so below. That's the principle of correspondence. So we exist here on earth, but there's also like a heavenly realm. And so we are in a life activation, making a stronger connection with what exists in heaven above, with what is below, and that's us. And so it really helps people to have a better understanding of their purpose and help you to create a better version of who you are. People ask me all the time what might they feel like after they've had a life activation, and my best answer is I don't know. Yeah, because everyone is so unique. We all have a different fingerprint. We have a different blueprint. There's no one else like you in the whole universe. So what you might experience might be different than what someone else might experience. I've heard people say parenting became easier, more joyful. Someone who is in a professional field, they had some more opportunities come up where they can serve their community and advance in their professional life. I've had someone who is a military veteran talk about how they were experiencing struggles with emotions, and it was something that they had been actively working on, but after the life activation, things that had triggered them previously, they were able to just like let go. And they were like, I don't know what it was. I've been working on this, but they noticed the difference after the life activation. I've had people fall in love where they didn't think falling in love and finding a partner was possible again, and getting married.
Are these things that happen like shortly after a life activation, or does it take time?
So I've been doing this now for the past, so over the course of 3 years,
Okay.
now I've been able to observe people's lives change. So some things they notice immediately, other things it's more subtle and unfolds over time.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I am a life activation recipient.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I described it to you as like things falling into place. And I suppose, just from an analytical standpoint,
Mhm.
I would be curious to know what your perspective is on
Mhm.
in terms of like when somebody's coming to you for a life activation, do you think that it has a lot to do with like you're describing that, we have a mind and the things that we think impact our reality around us. And so, is there a matter of perhaps a personal decision to say, I'm changing my life now. I want to be able to embrace the authenticity that's inside of me. And do you think it's maybe part that and part of you like performing the ritual? Walk me through that.
Yeah. And I think there's so many people that do come to me that are like, this is new to me. Spirituality is new to me. I'm not really sure what this is or what I'm doing and why I'm here, but I want to try something different. And they do have an open heart and open mind. Um, and there's people who don't even really believe in what's happening.
Oh, interesting.
And so, regardless of whether you believe in it or not, it's still working because it's bypassing the mind. So, you don't have to believe it for it to work in your energy structure and to change your life.
It's quite a long, what do we call it?
The session.
Session. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of long. And so even if the recipient doesn't 100% buy into it, you're there and you believe in it. And so it's kind of like this really intense prayer session. Like you are welcoming growth into somebody's life, right?
Yeah, and it's a very sacred process. In our lineage, we believe that it's been something being practiced for over 3,000 years. And so the amount of precision that goes into teaching someone how to offer this life activation, it's a very sacred and precise process that you can go to someone that lives in another part of the world that offers the life activation, and it'll be the same exact way. And it's the same way that's been handed down throughout time over these thousands of years so that we can offer it the same way and be able to awaken that spark that's within you. Um, so yeah, so it's a very, very secret, precise process that really has been perfected to bring about that change so that we can remember who we are.
Yeah.
So
Well, and ultimately the point is to heal, right? So, I mean, I caught myself, I saw that I heard that I said growth, but it's really about healing. And I'm going to credit something that I had heard many years ago, like you could still grow. So think about plants buried under a lot of leaves, they could still grow. They'll just grow a little scraggly. But if you clear the leaves away, then they'll have the right environment to grow in. And so therefore they will grow a little bit healthier,
yeah,
so to speak.
Yes.
So yeah, you're welcoming in healing for, I guess, a different kind of growth.
Yeah. Yeah. And it can impact people in a physical way, emotional, mental health, in so many different ways, but it really is so unique to the individual, which is really, it's fun for me to watch. It's, and I think it's probably one of my favorite things to see in other people, how,
I can imagine. Yeah.
yeah, like I offered this one thing, but how it really unfolds so uniquely different for everybody because it's whatever you need is exactly what you're going to receive. And and you get to be a better version.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whew. It's like you're still you, but you get to be a better version of yourself. And there really is no ceiling to what that even looks like.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's also not like you're just waking up one day and doing all of these completely different things. And I don't know, it's just more you can trust that what you're doing is moving you in that right direction.
Yeah.
The right direction for you.
Yeah. And you get to choose. I think that's one big thing to emphasize is like we can be presented with something and like a life activation, and then you get to choose how you move forward with that energy. You can go back to what you were doing before and not change anything, or when an opportunity comes your way, or a conversation with somebody that sparks like a new idea, or you really have a choice to decide how you want to continue moving forward. But
Yeah. And even what I'm getting here too, oh my gosh, like we could just keep going and going and going. But I'm like, okay, so yeah, you could still choose to not, follow through on anything that was uncovered. But those memories are still going to be in your brain. And it's always going to be like, but wait, but don't you want to,
yeah.
And
So you'll be
it's never going to stop. It's
Yeah.
never going to stop bugging you. So, yeah.
Yeah, you'll be different. Oh, what was the other thing, Kamala? It was interesting because in 2020, I was interested in studying Kabbalah, but through COVID, that kind of delayed plans that my guide had to start that. So it became available in New York City last spring. And up until that time, I was reading all kinds of books and listening to podcasts because there's so many different types of Kabbalah.
Okay.
There's a Jewish mysticism Kabbalah, there's Christian Kabbalah, there's Egyptian Kabbalah, there's so many different kinds and versions. So the one that we study is called the Universal Hermetic Ray Kabbalah. And so it is essentially the study of the mind of God. So we're going back to that Hermetic principle of all is mind. And we're really looking at all of the different aspects of God. And if you have, I like to use this analogy of a crystal. Have you ever seen like a crystal prism? And then the sun shines through it.
Right.
And then it creates all these beautiful rainbows on the walls and everything. So we all, and everything that exists originates from one source. And then as it passes through all these different dimensions of creation, then it radiates this beautiful rainbow. And so we're all the light. We're all that from that one source, but the way we express ourselves in the world is all different. And that's why you see all these different people and different cultures and different personalities and behaviors and the way we dress. And
how magical for you to say that too. Also, why there's Pride Festival happening right outside the window.
Yeah, so we're this beautiful kaleidoscope of creation, and Kabbalah really gets into depth into how do we balance the mind and our creativity, intellect and creativity, how we love, how we understand severe consequences in our lives, how we experience beauty, how we can experience the divine feminine and masculine, how we can experience ourselves as God and as creators of our lives. And it really, it's so complex and so simple at the same time. I think I was in class with people who have done this multiple times. And this was my very first time, and I can understand how you can continue to return and learn something brand new all over again. And I think that's just the beauty of the path that I've chosen to travel on in spirituality, because um, it's infinite.
Yeah.
It's just
Truly.
like, you can return to something again and again and again. And you're evolving and changing. And then you return and you learn that same thing again, but now you're different and now you receive something new. And it's just this continual unfolding that you get to experience over your lifetime and beyond, for greater growth and greater purpose. So yeah, I am so grateful that I had that opportunity to study Kabbalah, and I'll absolutely, um, when the next opportunity arises, I'd love to do it again. Um, and it absolutely, I think any expectation I had about what I thought it would be, my guide, she kept saying, you can read all the books, but you have to have the experience.
Yeah.
So you just have to live it. And it truly was a lived experience that I couldn't have gotten from reading a book and absorbing knowledge.
Right.
It's totally different. And
Well, because you're in a physical space, right?
yeah.
Mhm.
And it's also energy. And we are energy. And so there's the tree of life. There's a glyph that has 10 different spheres on it that have a different expression of God. And as we would study each individual sphere, whatever the energy of that sphere was, we lived it in our lives. And there's times where I was going through certain things in my life, and everything has a shadow aspect and a higher expression. There's that polarity.
Yeah.
We would have monthly study groups, and our teacher would do the check-in. How's everybody doing? What's your experience? And it was wild because everyone was experiencing the same energy, but in a different way in their life. But it was like there was just a certain vibe. For example, like if we were studying the sphere of Geberra is associated with the planet Mars, and it is severity. And so when you think about Mars, and you think of it's the planet of war,
Okay.
and you think about a warrior like going around destroying things. Well, that was the original perspective that I had about that. But Geberra is also the surgeon, that if you have a tumor and it's going in with a scalpel and very finely and precisely taking this thing that might harm you and removing it from your life. So that same scalpel, that weapon that could be used to kill somebody in war, it could be used to save a life. And I didn't understand that until I went through Kabbalah, at how the same force that could destroy also can save. And so it's just how we're living it, how we're experiencing it in our lives. And then on the opposite end of that is mercy. So mercy is it's like that compassion, um that grace that we might give to someone, that forgiveness. And so they exist on that same plane, but are different expressions to different degrees. Um, so being able to experience that and identify, like, where am I being too hard on myself in my life? Where do I need more compassion in order to bring myself into balance? And how am I doing that with other people too? Where am I being too hard on others, where I can offer some more kindness or compassion and understanding? And it's interesting, the little things that pop up in your life, like when we studied Tiferet. Tiferet is represented by the sun, and it's also in the heart space.
Okay.
And so there's Kabbalistic numerology. So you can actually discover what resonates with you as an individual the most. Mine happens to be the heart and the sun. And so that was the same time where I discovered this fairy tale book, because I was trying to nurture my inner child, because that space within the heart is where your inner child, the golden child, exists.
Oh.
And so it was really like all these little things, these synchronicities would just come about in all these different parts that we explored the tree in. And it just really, it came alive to me.
I love
So.
and how exciting how those revelations come to be. Like, oh my gosh, here's the connection.
Yeah.
And just, I don't know. It gives you life.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yeah. And it helped me understand myself more. It wasn't words on a page anymore that I was just reading. It was like I lived it. And now I can go back to the words on the page, and I'm like, I remember when I went through that, when I went through that part of the tree. So we're continually evolving, and we're infinite, eternal beings. So we just get to keep on living life here in the physical world,
just experiencing it.
Beyond
Right?
that.
Well, that was all fantastic. We've been with Paula Lee. She's a registered nurse and spiritual practitioner who blends over 20 years of clinical experience with advanced metaphysical training. After navigating her own journey through burnout and trauma, she now guides others in releasing limiting patterns and reconnecting with their life purpose. She is a second step ritual master in the lineage of King Solomon, a certified professional life activation practitioner, Reiki master, Usui lineage, intermediate practitioner of Enzophic Reiki, and a certified crystal healer. And we're going to have to talk even more about all of this stuff. Again, I mean, like I said, we could just go on and on and on, but alas, we must let go for now.
I'm so glad we got to talk. We'll have more conversations after this, I'm sure.
Well, thank you so much, Paula. This was absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, and good luck on your podcast adventure. I'm excited to see how this helpful. So my website is paulaleehealing.com. On Instagram, it's paula.lee.777.
Okay. I mean, I'll include it.
I'll have to make sure it's included on my website. But and then I do have a Facebook page, and then email. I send out a little newsletter every couple months, just kind of highlighting some of the healing services I'm offering. I'm always available by cell phone, email. I usually set up a consultation with new clients first to find out where they're at in life, what they're looking for, how can I best serve them.
Beautiful.
So much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Paula.
Thanks, Alyssa. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for spending some time with me today in this part of the world. Creating a home and a life you love is a continuous practice, and I'm so grateful to be on this journey with you. If today's episode gave you a little bit of inspiration or a practical takeaway for your own space, please take a moment to hit that follow button and leave a quick review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Take care of your space, take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time.